Hi, everybody.
Hey, you guys. I am trying to pull this up so I can show you guys.
We are going live right now over on Facebook. Good to see Tanya. How are you?
Okay. Hey. Whoa, you're really not showing background.
There we go.
Hey.
Kimberly Lawson, how are you? Brandy, how are you? Just getting things going over here today. Today is Monday. Holy cow, day 50. Wow.
I can't believe that we're like this close.
We're getting very close. We are we're almost one more week in February, and then we have one more month. Crazy. So we're super, super excited. Good to see you guys. Kim over here, Brenda, Christy. Awesome. Good to see you guys. Berlinda, good to see you guys. I am Monday, crazy weekend. I got a little bit of sniffles. So I am coming in Monday after a lot of rest and very just one of those. It's Monday, so we're getting going. So we're excited. Debbie, good to see you. Carlinda, good to see you. Letitia, good to see you.
I see no stash.
It didn't last long. Brandy, yeah. It honestly was the longest I've ever had my mustache. And that normally it's one dayer, and I had it for about 2 weeks, and that was about it. So now I'm a little bit more baby face. So,
and it was always a shock because whenever I'd see him, I'd start laughing because I couldn't like function through.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like I didn't know what I looked like until I saw myself in the mirror. Then I'd start laughing too. So it was pretty funny.
Hey, Candace. Hey, Tori.
Hey, Tori.
There's Letitia. Zoom. There's Debbie. There's Tanya.
Super, super exciting. So wins. Tanya, I know you have some wins for us. Tell us what's going on. There's got to be some sort of win.
Some wins all day, every day.
Yeah, you do.
Listen, I have heart palpitations, so I'm gonna keep this brief. I just sent my honey and the daughter off on a road trip, and I am about to lose it. But the win is this week, these 5 days, man, I get to 10x it with no interruptions.
Heck
Go
yeah.
live from any place. That's the win. I'm gonna get it in this week.
That's an awesome win.
And not only that, do you see Tanya? Like, look at her. Look at how, like, my eyes instantly look at, and she has 2 different earrings in. Like, what a conversation opener right there. Like, dude, she is rocking it.
Baby, Mama Frank is the trainer. I follow.
I used to take one out during a live, and I'll show different earrings, but did you guys notice that? Because I noticed it, and people will like just start like, what are they doing? So I love it.
Right. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Tanya. Debbie, I would love to hear a win this last weekend. I feel like I don't know if I've heard from you very much. So I would love to hear you come on pretty much every day and I see you, but I would love to hear from you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm pretty quiet, aren't I? So I take lots of notes. I've started doing a lot. I don't get everything every day, of course, and I don't feel bad about it. I work this pretty hard. I've started with I'm trying to be more, I'm using Instagram more. TikTok, I hate TikTok, drives me nuts, but I'm using it. Because to me, you know who I get? I get a bunch of guys, and just thousands of them. And it's like, what is wrong with these people, you know? But anyway, so that's but I'm using it a lot more, doing, more motivational or more, they love my dog on Instagram and on TikTok. I have a yellow lab, and, I did a TikTok a few months ago that got 20,000 hits about my stupid dog. So anyway, yeah, well, that's been a while ago. So I'm slowly building that. And like I said, I work, I did 4 hours of lives on Saturday. I work it pretty hard. And we'll just keep going until, and I'll tell you something else, just if it's of interest to anyone. So there's another sales thing on Facebook you see a lot. It's called Beach Boss Influencers or something. It's a bunch of women, and that own this company or whatever. And of course, it's all different. It's not going to be the new people and doing all the things that we've been talking about for months now. So I thought, okay, I'll bite. So I went in and spent $13 to go through all this kind of stuff. And guess who they're saying, here's somebody you should follow, Eric. And it's like, but they're all different, but they're doing, so, they have a pretty cool, they have a really good daily method of operations worksheet that you can go in every day and, cross and some stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm using that to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and whatever, but yeah, so, it's just hard work, it's just doing the work. Awesome. And I know that. So, nobody's got anything any better. So we'll just keep doing what we're doing.
Love it, Debbie.
Right.
I think something that, I'm going to reiterate this for any of you guys new, that's we always talk about these wins, but it's always nice to remember that it's this gap versus gain mentality. Okay. It's easy to know that, hey, we want to get to 10,000, 50,000 a month in sales, or we want to get to that elite with ranks. We want to get here and we're not there. And sometimes we get a little frustrated because we're not there yet, but it's good to look over our shoulder and see where we've come, the gain. Okay. And that's why we say it's a win. It's kind of like a win. What is the win? Hey, I'm sure a year ago, Debbie, you weren't into TikTok at all, or Instagram, and so some of this stuff, it's like, wow, like, oh, I wish I was this much further along. I wish I had this many followers, but it's nice to remember, like, hey, I've come a long way. Give myself a little pat on the back, and guess what? Okay, now I've come a long way. I'm excited. Okay, now it's time to move and keep pushing for those goals. So,
and I think alongside of that, I'm going to quote something from Trent from EMP that I think you need to look at that. But on the flip side, he talked about he talked about this whole analogy of a plant. And he said that there was somebody took a seed and he put it down into the dirt and covered up, put it out in the sun for 20 minutes. And after 20 minutes, he's like, well, there's no plant. There's nothing here. And he's like, wonder what? Maybe it's a bad seed. And like, I feel like we do this. I do this. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all the things. I'm doing this. And we are our hardest critic. And so then you start looking at it as, well, it's the soil, it's the seed. And you start looking at everybody else. Well, this person, Emily Brinson, is going live and she's an empire and she's killing it. And this person's doing this. But what you guys need to realize is if you went to Emily and you asked her, hey, where did you buy your seeds from? She bought them from the same store you bought them from. And so it's good that if you go and you look at people, but sometimes when you're looking at them, then you start getting frustrated. And it's like, here, I'm going to look and get some tips and I'm going to apply it to my business. But if you're not sitting there focused on your own business and sitting there cultivating and fertilizing that seed, it's not going to do anything and it's not going to grow. And so that was the whole thing, is one, looking back at how far you've come. But then on the flip side, it's looking at, if you're sitting there watching everybody else in the process, then you're not going to have time to put towards your business. So kind of thinking those two things at once.
Awesome. I love that. Yep. Sometimes it doesn't depend. The seed might not be bad. It's just, we got to cultivate it, put it in the right soil. We got to water it. We got to take care of it. Something that was really, that made me remember this, and Debbie kind of talked about it, and Brittany was talking about this. We have put together a little DMO checkoff sheet, because we know every single day we should be focusing on our little finding DMO that we've created. So I'm just going to show this to you guys real quick. So if you're in the social media, the 90-day social media run group, obviously right here in this important info is the main post where you find everything and anything. Okay. So here's our finding DMO tracking sheet. And I'm pretty sure, let me just make sure this is the right one. We come over here, finding DMO. Here's a tracking sheet that we have. Let me see. Yep, right here. This is it. So we just created this for everybody, that this is our 5 C's of finding DMO: commenting, content, creating, converting, and celebrating. And so down here, it gives you a little bit more info. And this is tied to our trainings of this commenting. So you just scan the QR code and it pops up with the day that we created it. So we can put this out to all of our team members and just say, hey, make sure you're getting your finding DMO every single day, and say, hey, commenting only 10 or 15 minutes. That's it. So you can put this out to your team. I know someone mentioned that with their March boot camp or something that they're bringing out. that you use this as a tool, you guys. Use this as a tool for teaching out to your team.
And anything we put out, I'm going to reiterate that you guys can use it. Any of the TikToks, any of the things, go and copy whatever we do, photos, anything. If you love this, but you want to change it up, go ahead. I will not be offended. We will not be offended. If you need to change it into something that's going to work better for you, do this. These are just tools. These are ideas. These are things to help you.
And you as leaders, customize it to your team. Just like Brittany was saying, just if you want to, if you like 80% of it, you don't like 20, switch it up for you guys. I don't care. Letitia.
Hi, everyone. Yes, this is my first time coming on you guys' calls because at 2:30 Eastern, which is my time, I'm normally picking up the kids from school. So I work from home. I've been a paparazzi consultant since April of last year. So I got to go to EMP this year, and already got my convention ticket. So picking back off of what you were saying about consuming, like I do this, the mind has a funny way of like tricking itself. It's like, even when I'm online, I always say, am I consuming or creating? You know, if I'm consuming more than I'm creating, that's a big problem. That means I'm just surfing through the internet, not creating anything. When I'm in creation mode, it's like I go live, I do wall drops, I follow up. That's a big thing. This fortune in the follow up, reaching out, say, hey, haven't I connected to? Whose birthday's today? Whatever. Right. So I have a win from last week. So last week, from like Monday through Wednesday, I was like, my sales were not where it needs to be. So I was like, let me do something I haven't done before. I feel like there's something that we all haven't done before in our business that we're like either afraid to do or nervous about. So I was like, let me set up a messenger room party, not a messenger party, because I always done messenger parties. So I was like, let me do a messenger room party. So I sent an email out on Wednesday, text message alert that I was going to do it on Saturday. It was crickets for about 2 days. And in the last minute, I got emails back, add me to the group. So I was like, oh, and then we start adding people, and I sold a whole bunch of pieces. So that's another thing, is like, when people say I'm doing everything, I mean, I don't want people to feel bad for me saying this, but you're really not doing everything.
Right.
You may be doing everything, but you're not doing it consistently.
Yeah.
Or you feel like, well, I'm not doing everything like Mama Frank or Emily or Erica or all these other people, but you're not really doing everything. So I feel like we have to really be genuinely honest with ourselves, because I'm from the corporate world, and it's really about you're not doing this. It's very clear, on what it is you're not doing, what it is is doing. I feel like sometimes we need to have that type of mindset, because we are more honest with ourselves versus going into that excuse side of our mind of saying, well, I'm doing everything, so this is not working. Right. Work. Oh, my father told me this a long time ago, rest in peace. He said, work will always pay for itself. You do the work will pay for itself. Yeah. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much. Something that reminds me of as well is this idea that we talk about a lot in our business is plan, do, review. You do something, you plan it, you try it, and then you review it. And even like if you're doing all the social media stuff, there's these little levers. It's a lot of plan, do, review, but it's these little levers until you switch up the right levers until things start working. So just don't ever stop trying. You only fail if you stop trying, right?
And something that I say to when I'm talking to some leaders or whatnot, and I don't think I've ever said it to you guys, but the work that you guys are doing right now, whatever it is, if you are working or if you're not working, you're not going to see it today. You're not going to see it tomorrow. But whatever it is, the rewards from it, you're going to see realistically, and I say 3 to 6, but it's more in 6 months. So if you aren't really working, it's like, oh, I'm getting paid, or I have people buying and this, and I'm not as consistent. In a good 3 to 6 months, that's when it's going to catch up to you. So all the work that you're doing right now, it may seem like you're spinning the wheels and it's like, I'm not seeing anything. Just be patient, because I can promise you in 3 to 6 months, you're going to see the benefits of what you're doing today.
Yep. And that's the finding DMO, right? It's just like we're planting seeds that we can start growing and harvesting 3 to 6 months months down the road. So super awesome. Quick little thing, and then we'll get into the training for today. Tanya said, what did you say about the scan option? So in that finding DMO, there's the QR code. When you scan that QR code, it should pull up the training of a replay of when we talked about that a little bit more specifically. So if it's about commenting, it's all about that training is all about commenting or all about creating content. And obviously there's other days we've talked more about like creating content like a bunch of times, but at least that's kind of like a main one that we've talked about it. And then, so easy kind of one-stop shop. Cool. So today we're going to get into today's training. It's mostly the dare that we're going to talk about, but something that he talked about the difference between the horizontal and the vertical feed. So the vertical feed is obviously the timeline that we all know about, and the horizontal feed is the story feed, and how we want to kind of get on both and how people are watching both, right? So something we're going to talk about today is I named it today, and I don't know what we're going to name it in the replays, but like stop the scroll post. So this one can be a little bit controversial for you, and this depends on you. So we're not going to push you into this if you don't want to. But something he said,
and he brought it up a bunch of times because he's like, this may offend some people, and it may not. But I think it's brilliant. And you guys, like this, there's certain words in my home that are not permitted, and even there's certain signs that are not permitted in my home, and this is one of them. But the way that this is put out is like, oh my gosh, you are brilliant.
Yeah. And so like we were saying is, so going back a second, horizontal versus vertical, the goal of any feed is for you to stop people from scrolling. Okay. So what he said is you want to take a picture of your ring finger up. Okay. Again, this is why you can see already that this can be a little controversial for people to see that it's not the middle. Obviously we don't want to do middle whatsoever because we don't want to be offensive. But something he said with that is it is a stopper, it's a shocker, it's a hook for people to stop and see what you're doing.
Because if you saw somebody with the finger up, you're going to stop and be like, is that what finger is that? And you're going to stop and do that. And so that is the dare for today. And again, it's up to you if you guys want to do it or not, where I'm like, okay, and I'll show you, because it was like, we were just sitting here laughing because I kept doing screenshot or doing selfies of myself because one of them I had it over to the side, and Robbie's like, you need to show your whole hand.
Show your hand more so people know what's going on, because it is definitely the ring finger, right? And so basically after you take the picture, you'll see why is you're going to ask a question and say, hey, if you were only given one wish, so if you have this ring finger up, you're like, if you were only given one wish, what would it be? So that's what the one is for. So it's basically saying, oh, what's your one wish? But instead of using your pointer finger, you're using this other finger, your ring finger.
And you can say one wish, one goal, one income, income goal. If you were given one blank. And so this is something that I talked to my team about. We're going to change it up. So on my personal page, I'm going to do one wish or one goal. But on my business page, I'm going to have something different of, if you could wear one color of jewelry the rest of your life, what would it be?
Yeah. And that's
or
the question.
You can do something with fashion, or
if you could only wear one piece of jewelry, what would it be? Okay. So really it's just, if you had one, it's like a blank, right? So if it's a wish, if it's the book, movie, jewelry, food, whatever, what would it be? So that's the engagement. So it's kind of like an engagement post, and you can post it. We want you to post it originally on your feed and on your story. And again, the goal of this is to stop someone and get them to see why are they doing that? Okay?
But when he said with story, do you want me to go into that? So he said, post it on your feed on Facebook, on Instagram. But when you go to do a story, you don't just post it on Facebook or on Instagram and share it to your story. Right. What you're going to do, and what he said, so I pulled it up.
Basically, you're just doing like original content. That's what is the main thing. Original.
And so like I have it, I've got my one. And then he said, instead of doing like a question, then I'm going to just put on you do the little sticker thing and the little square thing. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to search arrow, and you want people to comment. So I'm going to
draw on the arrow.
Or you can draw on, but they have different ones that it's like, I picked one that was moving. So I'm going to make it bigger. And move it down. So then I'm going to do this and say comment below. So I'll have the caption above if you were to do one thing, and then it'll comment below. And then I'm going to post this on my story. So then you're making one post on your timeline and then one on your story. So then you're using the same picture, but I'm going to just grab the captions.
Yep. And he said one thing when you're doing this is, like, for an example, if you use the wish one, if you were given one wish, what would it be? If people comment back, this is a way that you can kind of like dig in a little bit. It's just like, oh, well, if I had one wish, I would have $1 million, right? And then you can kind of be like, oh, why would you want $1 million? Oh, I'd want this. And then you keep going until you kind of see like, well, I want an extra income stream. And then you can kind of sneak in and kind of see like, okay, well, did you know that I'm a part of this really cool company that actually gives you as a side hustle, and you can actually make money doing that, right? So it's a way to be able to tie it back into our like network marketing and paparazzi. Okay. Something he said is when you ask a question with this, whether it's easy, like if you only had one wish, or if like an easier one is like, if you only had one piece of jewelry, what would you choose? He said the easier level of comments or questions versus versus the harder level of questions. If it's an easier level question that you tell people to go down below saying, hey, an easy level comment is like, hey, respond info below for more information, right? Or respond sold down below, right? You're going to get more engagement, but when it's harder, you might get a little to no engagement, but higher level of comments with people coming back to you. So just to reiterate that, just to make that seem a little bit easier.
The comment yes below if you agree with this. Yeah, you're going to have more people comment
you
yes.
have way more engagement when it's very simple, but when it's a little bit harder for people to comment back, you might get little to no.
It makes them have to think more of like, oh, and they would put more of a sentence or a paragraph into it.
So when you do strategically ask harder questions sometimes, knowing that you're not going to get very much engagement, but you will get a higher level of comment and be able to know if these people are more qualified for you to like reach out and talk to them.
You're going to get more of those raving fans. You're going to get more of those people that love you, that follow you.
Yep. So
this is something that I think is huge. And the other thing that he said, which I thought was really like something to think about, is you're creating all this content, you're doing all these things, but if you are not doing that follow-up, if you're not messaging these people back, you're not commenting back if they write a comment, you're not utilizing this stuff. Like people are coming to you. And so if you're not going back and you're reaching out, you're sending them comments, you're sending them friend requests, like you're doing them kind of for nothing. And so it is that here, I send them a friend request, they're going to come back, or I'm going to send them a message. So it's that constant, it's building your following, it's building something.
Focusing on converting the people. Because I mean, to be super honest, we had that focused for like the first 6 months to 12 months. We were just putting out as much content as possible. And we were really following up with people very well, or like really getting them into the DMs and really getting the conversation keep going. So now that's our new focus now is like, okay, we got to get into the DMs. Let's ask her more questions. Let's create a little bit more of a better connection with people. So realize where you're at and just make baby steps. Like Debbie talked about, hey, like now I'm on Instagram and TikTok. Hey, if you're only focusing on one thing, focus on how you can make it better and then slowly move into the next thing, because we don't want this to be overwhelming for people. Okay.
Yep.
So a couple other things. One other thing he talked about as a thing that's coming up future-wise, if you're focused on Instagram, he said Instagram kind of going forward or in the future coming up is going to be rewarding more photo-based content here soon. So kind of a good little like hack or thing to remember that maybe some photo-based content is going to be pretty good here coming up, and they're going to reward you for it.
Because recently they've been pushing Reels really, really hard. But now I think that from what their research is saying is that they're going to try and go back a little bit more just to the photos, and Reels are still good. But as we hear more, we'll keep you posted. So that's why they said do a photo. Yeah.
And one last thing, and then we'll get up to the Q&A, is a little little hack, or maybe like a little good thing to do, is if you ever get any type of friend request, always message them. Be intentional. Ask them. We've seen people that we've kind of followed to kind of like model them, and they'll say, hey, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tanya, for following me. I really appreciate it. Are you following me because you're your friend, or because of what I do and you want to learn more about the business that I'm doing?
Or you're interested in making an extra $300 to $500 or $1,000 a month and would like to learn more how to do it. Like it can be copy and paste, but
for every single person.
Yeah, but it's still like every single person that's following you or that is following your business page or adding you as a friend, like you can ask them a few questions. Or were you just wanting to get some awesome jewelry for $5 or for wholesale?
Find some way to systematize that, but you're still asking people, and then you know how to deal with these people. Is it someone that you want to like try and push the business with, or is it somebody that wants jewelry, or is it just a friend that's like supporting you, right? Okay, So we got like 2 minutes for Q&A. Anybody have any questions with this over on Facebook? Sorry, we haven't really been watching you over here. We're looking through some of this. Raise your hand over here on Zoom if you have any questions with any of this.
I don't have a question with that. This Jermaine, I do have a question as to how you will respond to a DM. This is somebody that I met in one of my groups last week. So we've been keeping the conversation going. And it started out, you know, telling her where the group we were in. And then I asked her what she does for her job. And we had sort of a correlation to that. So I said, you know, I used to do case management. And she was like, oh, deal with kids. Okay, it could be pretty taxing emotionally. So I said, I left that job years ago. And her response was, I wish I could leave too. How would you go into that, into maybe the opportunity? What would you say?
I mean, idea is, to me, like how we've kind of taught how to tell a story is like you relate to her, be like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what that was like, you know, kind of find something, a way to relate with them and just say, oh my gosh, like something that I do with my story is, hey, I was part of the corporate world for a long time. I always got that pit in my stomach every Sunday night, waking up thinking I had to wake up to that Monday. A lot of people that don't like their job can relate to that pit in their stomach Sunday night. So that's why I bring it up in my story. Oh my gosh, I always had that pit in my stomach. I always felt like I was a cog in the wheel. It was taxing. I didn't like what I did. But then I found this opportunity. And from there, like I never have that pit in my stomach. I always love waking up on Mondays. I never have a problem waking up and doing what I love to do. And by saying just an opportunity, it causes curiosity for them to be like, well, what's the opportunity? I want to know what you do. Then you can kind of go into that.
And that's where I've even done that at times because I don't know what it's like to be in that. So I've turned it a little bit and I changed the script, similar to Robbie, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much respect for you. Like that, I can see how that could be very hard every single day dealing with hard kids or with this. Like I have and you're complimenting them. Like I have respect for you. Not sure if you'd be interested, but what I found is because I left my job or I left this, I found this thing. If you'd like to make some extra money and be able to have that to hopefully supplement that, you wouldn't have to do this either. Would you be interested in more information? And so you're just kind of just asking just point blank. And so then they'll come back and like, well, what is it? Because I don't just say straight up paparazzi or this. It's just, I found this thing, I found this opportunity, or I found I've got this side hustle. So however you want to kind of word that into your words, but it's just kind of bringing that in. Because if she left it right there, and I feel like a lot of people kind of run into that it's like, oh, you found her pain point. She's hitting that every day. A lot of people, it's like, I want to just be home with my kids. And okay, well, I am able to do this.
And if you don't have a story, it's always nice to relate to someone with a story. So for an example, let's just say, hey, if I don't like Karen, this will be the last thing. I know Karen used to do, was in cosmetology. She did hair. I didn't do hair, but my wife did, or I know somebody that would. So I can use their story. It's like, oh my gosh, if I'm talking to you, Jermaine, and you did hair, hey, oh my gosh, I had a friend that was in your same spot. Her name was Karen. She felt the same things that you were doing. She felt this, and she was able to step away as well. So you can use other people's stories as well to relate to people. And obviously you can relate to them with your story. But if you're in a situation that you don't know and you can't relate to them, use someone else's story as well to relate. Oh my gosh, I know exactly how you're feeling. I know how you're feeling, Pamela. I was in my sister was in the same situation as you, and she did this, and this. Okay.
Yeah, and I have done that. I do use a lot of people's stories.
Awesome. Stories are like, we're not salespeople, we're storytellers. And that's why we're as good as we are, is when we learn how to tell stories better and we have a inventory of stories, people relate to stories better than just trying to sell them, right? People don't want to be sold. They want to feel good.
They feel validated. They feel loved. They feel understood.
Yep, exactly. So we're getting to time. We have 1 minute, so we're going to get off real quick. We love you guys so much. Thanks so much for the question, Jermaine. We love you guys over on Facebook. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.